All right, everyone, sorry for a little mix up today. We were supposed to have Dave Martin from NWS State College join us, but between the severe weather outbreak and a couple meetings that they had, John Benioff emailed me saying he wasn't going to be able to make it. So luckily I was able to pull Paul Mykolatjchuk again for this week's math discussion. So thank you, Paul, for being here on last minute, and I'll let you take it away.
All right, thanks for that introduction, Jake. So whenever there's any kind of severe weather brewing in Pennsylvania and the Commonwealth, I like to look at visible satellite. And so I thought this was kind of interesting, just kind of noticed this just now, actually. Take a look at the direction that these low-level clouds are kind of going in, the cumulus field, essentially. That's kind of going from the south-southwest direction, and that's consistent with the wind direction from, as reported by the University Park Airport with the noon observation here. And take a look at the clouds as well aloft here. So the clouds aloft are coming from the westerly direction, whereas the low-level clouds are coming from the south-southwest direction. That tells us we have some warm air advection with height because we have clockwise turning with height, basically. And so that tells us we do have some warm air advection, and that's also consistent with this as well, or I should say the surface map from the WPC. We're south of a warm front here, and this is our culprit here for any kind of thunderstorm activity. Is this disturbance right here? That will be progressing off to the east, and essentially we are expecting some kind of shower and thunderstorm development during the afternoon and evening hours. Of course, how extreme this gets is really up for discussion. Currently, we'll take a look at what the SPC is saying with their day one outlook. So when I last checked, they had a slight risk across much of the state of Pennsylvania. So this was just issued 22 minutes ago. We'll put counties up on the map as well. So State College solidly within the slight. Here's a tornado threat. SPC kind of saying there's a 5% chance of a tornado within 50 miles of a given location. So certainly that is within the slight risk range, as well as wind. SPC, this is actually new from the previous update. Before, the SPC put the hail risk kind of just in southwestern PA. As of the most recent update 22 minutes ago, they did move the slight risk a little bit further to the east when it comes to hail threat. So they're, I guess, seeing a little more in the way of a hail threat further to the east with new model guidance coming in. We're going to take a look at that as well. So we'll take quickly a look at radar as well, see if anything's popping up yet. So there definitely is some more steady precipitation off to the north. That's probably going to reduce the instability to the north as a result of the shower activity. Still really not too much south of that, though. Some scattered shower pop-ups to the south. Really nothing too much, though, in the way of any organized shower and thunderstorm activity right now. The NAM and the HRRR say that is going to change, though, as we go forward here. We're going to pull up first the HRRR. So the HRRR is definitely a great tool to look at because it does take in radar data. So certainly a really good tool to look at when you want to look at really short range severe weather possibilities across a given area. So this is the HRRR 12Z run. Probably we have a more recent run though. Let's go to 15Z. So let's pull up the simulated radar. So we'll pull up the 1 kilometer. The composite reflectivity we were looking at a little earlier looked very, very aggressive. We're going to look at the 1 kilometer here. So we're just going to pull this up in the form of a loop just to make this a little easier. So let's see. We'll pull up forecast hour loop. And this will give us a nice bar at the top here. And okay, so we drag this forward. So here's HRRR kind of showing this line developing. This is at 20Z. So that is at 4 o'clock in the afternoon here. And we'll progress forward to about hour 6, hour 7. So you can see the storms are generally progressing from northwest to southeast. So if you want to talk about any kind of direction here relative to the direction of propagation, that's really important. To see if any cells might be rotating or not. So the storms themselves, we look here, kind of, it's a little hard to tell, but generally maybe either easterly or an east-southeasterly direction. So any component of the shear that's perpendicular to that motion is really important to see if we get any rotating cells or not. So essentially, the HRR does bring some scattered showers and thunderstorms, locally heavy rain with these showers and thunderstorms. Of course, I know a lot of people also like to look at just the severe weather parameters. When I was looking at the SEC discussion, they were talking about how the mid-level lapse rates are the limiting factor, and so we'll take a look at that. So you can see, this was at 15Z or 11 a.m., pretty lackluster across much of the area, but let's see what happens as we roll forward here. So there is a pocket of higher mid-level lapse rates to the west here. So let's see if that gets over State College at all. It does. And so where we're talking about 5 to 6 p.m. is when the HRRR is suggesting that mid-level lapse rates are going to be conditionally unstable, about 6 Celsius per kilometer, or a little higher than that. We can kind of, so sometimes pivotal weather, you can kind of see the exact values of the mid-level lapse rates, but this right here, this kind of dark blue value is 6 Celsius per kilometer. So again, this is right around 5 o'clock. This is about 6 o'clock, and that's right over State College at that point. So at that point, so certainly not the most impressive mid-level lapse rates, but by about 5 to 6 o'clock is when the HRRR is suggesting that mid-level lapse rates will be conditionally unstable to support thunderstorm activity. So that's really the most limiting factor today. And so the mixed layer cape on the HRRR, obviously not too much as we start off the day, but we will see more pop up as we get some more stability. So again, sometimes you can see the values here as you scroll your mouse over. Unfortunately, we're not able to see that right now, but probably about 1,500 joules per kilometer. We can click on KUNV right here to kind of just get a general feel for what the HRRR is saying in terms of numerical values. So mixed layer HRRR is saying about 1,600 joules per kilogram. If you want to look at surface cape, that's in agreement with the most unstable as well. That's about 2,400 joules per kilogram. So there is a little bit of curvature to the hodograph here. So essentially, the way you read a hodograph is this shows the direction that wind is going in. So you can see that this 0 right here represents the surface. And so notice we have a southwesterly wind right here that's not too strong. And so it's going in the northeast direction, and that's what the 0 is supposed to mean. This 1 is about the same direction, but notice it's a little stronger. And so the 1 kilometer is right about here. So you can see it is a stronger wind, but about the same direction. The 2 and 3 are a little more going in the easterly direction. We can kind of see that as well. Here's the 3 kilometer coming from the west, but the hodograph is plotting the direction that the wind is going in. So it's going in a positive U direction. That's what the hodograph is plotting. So essentially, one of the most important things that I like to look at when it comes to severe weather is the 0 to 1 kilometer shear. And we were chasing in 2017 with the Penn State Storm Chase team. I know it has a different name now. I'm not entirely sure what the new name is, but the Penn State Storm Chase team is what I know that club as. So we were looking at 0 to 1 kilometer shear values that were pretty lackluster, but actually under 10 knots. And we still were able to see some brief spin-ups with some of those situations. So this 0 to 1 kilometer shear is a little higher. Probably when it comes to tornado genesis, probably shear values are usually higher than what we're seeing here, but certainly this is higher than when we were chasing in 2017. And you can see we have the lifted index values above -6 here, and we do have storm relative velocity values that are above 100 as well. So that's pretty important too. So this right here is something that I think is kind of interesting as well. This is what the model significant tornado parameter is currently depicting. This is really nice. So this kind of like organizes everything in the nice chart here when you click on a point forecast in a given area. And so what this is showing based on history where exactly you would typically see a significant tornado parameter value to correspond to a given, tornado outcome basically. And so the HRRR is saying that at least for this hour, at about 1 or so. So let's take a look at what the significant tornado parameter looks like on the HRRR. And so this is at 15Z. We can roll forward here. Let's go to, we can go to 7 here, hour 7. So we are getting some higher values here. So let's pull up So this, I believe, is 22Z. So it does appear consistent with the strongest mid-level lapse rates over the area. So I'll explain what that value for significant tornado parameter is once this graph loads. Okay, so about the same as what we were looking at before, but I just kind of wanted to make sure that we were looking at 6 p.m. here. So essentially, this horizontal line shows the forecasted significant tornado parameter from the HRRR. And these bins kind of show the distribution of what has happened in the past with a given significant tornado parameter. So essentially, you can see how high in the past when we have seen EF4 or greater tornadoes, how high the STP has been when those have happened. But you can see right here, you know, the STP is within the EF0, EF1 category. So probably if there were to be any kind of brief spin-ups across PA, they probably would be weak, given these historical bins and where the forecasted STP is. But you can see as well, it's not outside the range of the non-tornado as well. You can see that it's still within the range of where you might expect there to be if there weren't any tornadoes at all. But it's closer to the EF0 kind of median as well. So that's kind of the interpretation of this bottom right graph here. So essentially, I think overall, what we're looking at a situation where probably some showers and thunderstorms are going to pop up across the state, and probably will be rolling through State College, probably about 5 to 7 p.m. And that's when the best mid-level lapse rates are going to be rolling through the area as well. And as a result, probably those are when your strongest storms are going to be. So I think that's basically what we're dealing with for today. And I'll kind of look at a couple other things as well. I did want to take a look at, the, so I should pull this up actually, the hurricane climatology for October. And so let's see if we can pull this up here. Okay, this is exactly what I'm looking for. So we're going to be looking at, let's look at early October here. So this is typically where we see tropical cyclone tracks in the first third of October here. And you do notice that compared to in August and September, this is where you would see it in August and September. But in October, we're really starting to focus again in the Western Caribbean. And so there have been runs again of the global guidance that have been showing, okay, there's a possibility of some kind of tropical cyclone formation possibly down the road in the Western Caribbean. So that's just a general area that we should probably watch. So the GFS has kind of been on and off with showing something. This is the new GFS kind of rolling in that will replace the old GFS at some point. I actually haven't had a chance to look at this yet, but I'm just curious to see what it shows. So generally speaking, you know, the new GFS is kind of showing this weak area of low pressure developing in about 4 to 5 days. The National Hurricane Center is now actually outlining this as of their most recent update, giving it about a 20% chance of formation over the next 5 days. But here's Leslie up here, probably not a threat to land as it goes off to the northeast here. But this is generally the area you want to watch when it comes to tropical cyclone formation in the first third and really for most of October in general. And the European was kind of hinting at this as well. And so this is where the European was saying there could be some kind of tropical cyclone genesis. Obviously, when you look at a model run this far out, an operational model run, there are a lot of uncertainties, but certainly it could give you a pattern as to what you might expect. And so the European as a whole is showing kind of development in that area. So again, details don't really matter here, but the general idea is that this is an area that probably should be watched over the next several days. And the European ensemble was definitely backing that with the most recent 0Z run. And we're going to try to go to the Gulf of Mexico here. Let's take a look at this European ensemble. Let's take a look at this spaghetti for the United States. Let's see if we can see that or not. So what we're looking for is kind of, yep, okay, so you see how there's kind of these reddish kind of colors here that are starting to pop up? That's the European ensemble saying that some of the members are saying, okay, there's this system in the Caribbean that's going to be moving into the Gulf. So these red colors indicate European ensemble members that develop this disturbance into a relatively strong cyclone. And as we continue here, you can see there's actually quite a few. I mean, it's not an overwhelming signal, but it's certainly enough to the point where you might say that this is something to watch over the next several days. And then just to give you a reference, this is pretty far out. This is day 12. But the last time I did the weather briefing, when we were kind of looking at the European ensemble and the general idea that there would be these kind of tropical cyclones rolling off of Africa was a pretty good one, because we had Florence, we had Isaac and Helene as well. So kind of the general idea is that the West Caribbean should probably be watched for the next 10 days. And that's not unreasonable because this is an area where we normally see tropical cyclone development in October. So kind of just another comment about the long range here. So this is what the European is forecasting. Let's see if we can pull it up on the E-wall here, the anomalies on the European ensemble. So we want to go to the legacy radar here, and okay. Okay, I might not be able to access it with this on the E-wall. I think I need a Penn State computer. We'll just take a look at the heights themselves then on the model lab here. So we'll just go to model lab, go to the European ensemble, and we're going to take a look at the MSLP thickness. So as a whole, you know, we've been in this pattern where there's been a ridge in the east and a trough in the west. And so this is a pattern that looks to continue probably for the next 10 days or so. And there's the European ensemble. This is remarkable though, because I've been looking at the forecasted dew points over the next week to 10 days, and 70-degree dew points as a possibility over the next 10 days, which is really remarkable for the first third of October. It really is something to believe, though, because this is a very anomalous ridge. And of course, because we have this anomalous ridge here in the east, that's really something to consider as well when we have a tropical cyclone developing, a potential tropical cyclone, I should say, in the Western Caribbean, because if there was one to form, it would be pretty tough for it to go to the northeast and kind of harmlessly avoid the U.S. Probably would impact the islands if we were to go northeast, but that would be a track that would largely spare the U.S. If there's a pretty substantial ridge there, though, that makes it tougher. In fact, probably unlikely that ridge is to be there. But that ridge is forecasted to be there, and the European is saying it's going to hold strong for the next 10 days or so. If you believe the European, we kind of go into this, there is a positive Pacific North America pattern that starts to develop here. And but notice we do have that kind of southeast ridge kind of hanging on still as we go to day 12. The European is saying that the southeast ridge starts to weaken and the Pacific North America pattern, positive Pacific North America pattern, starts to win out. We'll go look at the North America pattern here just to kind of visualize this on a larger scale. So essentially we have this really intense area of colder than normal temperatures across Canada. These are lower than normal heights, and that's been the pattern we're in right now. But the big shift on the European ensemble here, at least, is that we do have more ridging that starts to develop in Western Canada. And of course, that normally corresponds to lower heights across the east. And that's essentially what the European ensemble is forecasting at that point. As we go further in time, the heights start to look more zonal as there's more uncertainty in the members. But certainly this is a signal on the European ensemble that maybe as we get toward the middle part of October, there could be more in the way of troughing over the east and a ridge over West Canada. So I think that's about all I want to kind of talk about here. Does anyone want to add anything to the discussion about the severe weather, tropical cyclone, the pattern we're in right now? Yes, Sean.
So other than today, when's the next chance for rain here?
So I think I was looking at probably, I think toward the end of the week, there's another disturbance that kind of rolls through. We'll take a look at that though. Just kind of a general idea. I was looking at maybe Wednesday might be a break, and then Thursday and Friday could be another chance of rain. So that's Wednesday right here in the GFS. And then there's kind of another frontal system that moves through. This is kind of late on the day on Thursday into Friday here. that's the general idea. So GFS is showing kind of another weak front kind of progressing through on Thursday. This is kind of getting a little far out here, kind of getting to the medium range. But the GFS would suggest that on the day, maybe Saturday to early Sunday, there could be some showers. GFS verbatim keeps a little west of here, but the idea of showers is present across the area on Saturday.
Any other questions, comments for Paul? All right, thanks, Paul. And then next week we'll have Ben Redford. This will be his last forecast discussion with us here at Penn State before he moves out to Colorado. So be sure to come on out next week, Joseph, to support more.